Okay, next up, I'm going to ask a member of the study group who was integral in raising issues related to the development community, a new player in that regard, though not new to any of us, and a former member of our IDA board and a resident of Brookhaven. I'd ask Mitch Powey to come forward.
Thank you, Supervisor. On behalf of the development community, we are very pleased to be here. We are very pleased to have been able to participate in this study with our friends from the environmental and civic communities. It is a very, very good day for those of us who went through the Pine Barrens Act and the negotiations. This is a next step in that process. And somebody asked me, is the hard work done? And I said, no, the hard work has now stopped on phase 1. Now the hard work is the actual implementation of it, which may even be harder to accomplish, but it is well worth accomplishing. It will save thousands of acres in this town which should not be developed, and will allow development to occur in the places where the town of Brookhaven wants it to occur, with the type of units the town of Brookhaven wants to do for the purposes that are necessary to do so. So we look at it as a great combination of environmental and economic protection for this town. We thank the supervisor and the members of the town board for giving the development community the opportunity to participate. We will stay involved, obviously, we go along. And one thing I also want to do is I want to thank the staff of the planning department, especially the planning commissioner and Eve and Jeff, who must have gone through 900 drafts of everything that got changed, sometimes at the last minute, sometimes after the last minute in that regard. But it was well worth the effort, and we thank you for the opportunity to participate. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Mitch, I'd like to also thank Bob Wiebolt, Mike Kelly, both of whom were here today, Peli Damianos, who's here today from ABLI. Thank you for your service on this study group. Next up, I'd like to, a man who needs no introduction, and so I won't make one, but a friend and a real driver on the study group, Dick Amper.
I'm not sure whether this was a good idea or not. 20 different people stopped me on the way in here asking me whether these were for them, and the answer is no. I want to thank the supervisor for this effort. This is an effort that will protect not just the river, but the entire watershed. It is a huge environmental achievement, and it will simultaneously redirect development not only out of that watershed, but out of the individual residential communities and into those areas that are specifically intended for much needed affordable, and I mean truly affordable housing. This has been a tremendous environmental and economic achievement. We do need to thank Tullio Bertoli and Jeff Kasner and Peter Scully and John Pavasik at the Pine Barrens Commission for all that they did. And I have great confidence the town board will look at a very, very complicated and sophisticated plan and sort out the things that are most important to them and the things that are least important to them, so that we can have swift action on this. Then we'll take this to Albany, and we will pick up in the tradition of the Pine Barrens Protection Act and get the unanimous support of the state legislature and the governor to extend preservation at the same time that we maintain economic growth. That's what this is all about. I want to conclude by saying that everybody deserves some credit, even Jim Morgo, but all of our combined efforts pale in comparison to the work of Igor, if I say Grogoski properly. Would you please come up? I got a photo opportunity better than his. Seven days a week, 12 and 15 hours a day. This did not happen without this woman.
And Eva, you did fantastic work, and I echo many of the comments that they gave. But I would also like to thank Jim Morgo, who at the early stages of this brought me together with many of the stakeholders and shared my vision on this. So thank you, Jim, for doing that. That was. Next up is another fellow I'd like to give a lot of credit to. He actually, I will give him the credit for being the first person and the primary person who brought the issues related to the Carmans River to my attention, increased my awareness. He's been a tireless advocate for the river for a long, long time, and a wonderful person, and a former Brookhaven Town employee, if I'm not mistaken. So I'd like to bring up Tom Williams, my friend, who really brought this to the fore. Thank you.
Thanks very much. I'm part of the Carmans River Partnership, and that was started maybe 15 years ago to look at a small parcel of land that was going to be developed right on the Carmans River. And that made us realize we had to really be vigilant and keep everybody on target and look at this river. And so as we have met over the years, it occurred to us that there were little pieces of this river that kept getting chipped away from one place or another, and that it was important for us to develop a comprehensive, inclusive study of the river to protect it for many years. There have been a lot of efforts over those years, the Students for Environmental Quality down in Bellport, the Pine Barrens Commission that was created, the Pine Barrens Act that created so much protection of the river, South Haven Park, which was sold to the county by Ken Hard, whose family had owned it, and before that, there's a storied history of this river and the efforts to protect it. So it's an honor for me to be a part of this story and to help keep that going. I would like to also recognize here all the people from the public that were not on the study committee, who came to many, many meetings, who participated in ways. They brought information, they brought comments. They were just terrific. Some of them wished they were on the committee and some of them didn't, but they came and they were just diligent, and we appreciate it as part of that committee. Let me just read one thing that a fellow whom I knew and loved and who was a partisan of the river, Dennis Puleston, his words are immortalized, if you will, on a sign that the Parks Department has on the Dennis Puleston Nature Preserve it's near the river on County Route 21. And he says, surely this still beautiful area and its wealth of natural resources deserve to be treated by all of us who live here and also by our close neighbors with a full measure of respect, understanding, and love. And I appreciate that, and I appreciate the supervisor and the town board and the town and everybody who did everything to make this come together, and thank you. Thank you.
Before our last speaker, I would like to specifically thank Tullio Bertoldi, our planning commissioner, who I spent countless hours on this. Tullio. I'd like to thank Matt Miner in the back there, who worked on this tirelessly. I know the primary drafters, as I understand it, were Jeff Kasner, Eva, and John Pavicic. Thank you for your time, your weekends, your nights. We really appreciate it. I know John Turner and Liz Krolik-Alexander were on the study group and spent a tremendous amount of time working. Thank you, John and Liz. From the Pine Barrens Commission, Julie Hargrave. I know she added quite a bit to this as a member of the study group. Julie, I don't know if Julie's here. I think she is. Peter Scully and Bill Spitz from New York State. We appreciate their assistance on the study group. They were fantastic. And there's another fellow who I know has spent a large portion of his life dedicated to protecting the river, and we're just so happy that he was part of this process. That's Jim Tripp. Jim was fantastic. And last, I neglected to mention Charlie Mancini from Libby, and also I'd like to thank Kevin McAllister and Kevin McDonald for being part of this effort. A couple quick facts, and then I'm going to turn it over to our last speaker. Central Park is just over 800 acres. if the land preservation strategies in this plan are successful, 9,100 acres of land will be protected. That's more than 10 central parks. That is a significant achievement. So the next speaker has, I think, the majority, except for a little slice in Dan's district, a majority of the proposed watershed in her district, and contributed her lovely staff member to this effort. So without further, is that right? I don't know if you did that, but without further ado, Councilwoman Connie Kepper.
Thank you. Constance. Thank you. And as other speakers have said, some of us have been here before. Many of us up here were involved when the original Pine Barrens Act was created. So it's been a long, hard struggle to balance good development with good preservation. And I think really this plan does that. And it does that in ways that were not accomplished by the Pine Barrens Act. And that is because it funnels development into pedestrian-oriented centers. And I think that is enormously important. We want to undo the mistakes of the past. We don't want to encourage that sprawl-type development. And we want to protect, a jewel of the town of Brookhaven, which is the Carmans River. And I think this study, if many of the recommendations are adopted, will do just that. So I want to thank everybody on the committee. I do want to say that Tulio stole Eva from me. I want to take that credit. I do want to thank Eva and Jeff and certainly Liz and everybody who participated in this study. I know it was an enormous amount of work, and I know Dick is absolutely right. The work has just begun. So thank you very much.
Lastly, because the time is getting late, we are going to have a presentation, a more formal presentation up at at our work session. I think it's going to be the first item. So for the members of the press, we're not going to take questions here, but you'll have a fuller airing of the plan presented by Dr. Koppelman and others just in moments upstairs. So I'll end by saying this. I'll say what I said at the start. We're on the brink of history, and of making history that won't just affect those of us in this room, but will affect generation after generation of Brookhaven residents, and frankly residents of this entire country. Let's seize the opportunity. Let's do justice to this study group and the hard work they did, and let's go make history and protect the Carmans River. Thank you very much.